I don't actually have anyone to fill in for me with Zombie Grub. I know that we have Fear Dragon on the channel, guys, but you have to understand he has a real-life job. He's not available during the weekdays at the times at which we stream a lot of these, and I couldn't possibly leave Zombie Grub hanging to do this solo. That would just be really mean. So, at the moment, all of the Stage 2 groups are scheduled to play out this week. Like, tomorrow is going to be the first part of the round of 16, ideally. The only case in which we'll reschedule those is if I am too sick to even talk type things. We're still looking to go forward.
Yeah.
I know I'm sneezing. It's a little bit gross, and I'm super sorry to stream. But we do plan to try and get these done because we have a bit of a time frame set by Ting. They would ideally like to have this all concluded by the end of March. So the nice thing is, even if we do have to push these back, we do have a little bit of wiggle room. We left that there intentionally on the off chance something like this may happen. At any rate, we are in the winners match, in the winners series of the Ting Open. Again, make sure you check out bttv.ting.com. And while I don't know if he's going to be here when you guys are watching this, because my chat is still not working, I know Jesse had popped in for a small time. I believe he's actually...
Oh, yeah.
He's been pretty chill, just enjoying some StarCraft. Hopefully he's catching some good games here. But in the bottom left, we've got the red Terran player from Millennium. It's MarineLorD.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he's Nerchio.
Of course, playing for Euronics Gaming. Bit of a new team. And the jersey, it looked a little bit strange, I guess, to see at IEM when he's chilling in the booth. As mentioned before, I was actually really expecting Nerchio to do well versus Polt at IEM. Not to say that he played poorly. Like, Polt played better, obviously, as results do dictate. But if Nerchio can play at that same level against MarineLorD, I can actually see him taking the series from MarineLorD.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it is about Polt. In those live events, you know, he just does so well, and I just never expected. He always seems like he's so casual, but I guess his practice is that ideal type of practice that everyone talks about. You know, it's not just a mass amount of games. It's smart, and the guy, of course, has a lot of that natural talent. But damn, winning that entire series was impressive. But MarineLorD is not a bad TVZ player whatsoever.
No, he's actually quite good.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that these positions are pretty nice for him. I think Larillac in general is nice for Terran, unless it's diagonal, and then I think that it's not that they hate it, you know, it's not as preferred.
Well, the reason I was going to bring up some of this stuff, though, to talk about was Nerchio, again, had specifically mentioned that he might have some troubles with the groups today because he had to drive like 8 hours.
Yeah.
He was getting back from IEM and all these things about exhaustion. So I do hope we actually get to see... Because, I mean, that first series day, 3-0 versus Mana... Like, Nerchio and Mana have actually had a pretty back-and-forth history fighting on this channel, much less all the games they play outside of the channel. But that 3-0 was not something I expected. So Nerchio already playing better than perhaps anticipated. Hopefully that exhaustion is not an issue for him.
Yeah. So, once again, we had Nerchio veto Dusk. Now, that made a lot of sense versus Mana, because Protoss is, like, the one map they seem to do, like, pretty okay on. Not that they win all the time, but... I actually like it. Oh, a little bit of aggression here. But versus Terran, I guess just the same idea can happen, you know, like those long, drawn-out games that even the Zerg doesn't want to play, even though right now Ultralisk seem to be the end-all, be-all. And he just doesn't want to play those games. He actually legitimately look at that map, be like, I am so freaking tired. I don't want any games that go past 5 minutes. Like, let's go. Of course, if that was true, he'd be all-inning a lot. But still, he doesn't want to go 20 minutes.
We see more early roaches is the emphasis. Now, while this goes on, it's certainly annoying. Ling's managed to slip by. Only a couple Hellions back at home. MarineLorD should be able to deal with this.
Yeah.
This did almost catch him off guard, though.
So, this is a lot more deadly if you're not going for Hellions. You know, if you got, like, only a set few of important units, but only a few units that are divvied up from base to base. Hellions, they deal with this. That's actually what they're ideal for. But the fact that he's gone for Hellions and then a Banshee follow-up, pretty damn old school. It also means that as far as like the typical Larillac Crest game that we see, where you have the person go up to tank evacs usually and then go into a tank push, is going to either be delayed or not happen at all. Like, he might have done a third CC after he's done harassing. Lings once again get in, like right before that wall off finishes, and get quite a few SCV kills despite having Hellions. Looks like MarineLorD's going to try and kind of respond here, similar idea, and he is getting quite a few drones. The Banshee in the main base is also able to kill quite a few. I think he got like 2 or 3 and then killed the Queen on her last dying breath.
Yeah, not too bad. 8 kills though. I don't know. You would have expected a lot more for what was used, but for MarineLorD, he's following up with like a round 2 of it. And truth be told, that first round did quite a bit of damage. This Banshee. It's important that he doesn't throw too many of these away. I mean, the roaches are actually going to be something he'll have to defend against at a point. And if he throws away 3 Banshees on the other side of the map, he's going to have like at most 1 at home, if that.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of. They're so good versus roaches. You know, they're actually not that great against, for instance, a Nidus Worm because queens come with it. But if there's any type of roach push that you wanted to do as a Zerg player, Ravager shots aren't supposed to hit a Banshee. So this is the perfect anti-roach defense early on. Okay, I wondered if he was going to do this, right? Like, by not going for the tank push, I was already like, he's got to do something a little different, right? Because no one just goes for a 3rd CCL on Larillac. And we did see this from someone else who I forget, one of the Koreans, Gumiho. Yeah, Gumiho did this on this map at these positions. The air mech strategy, opening up with Banshees first into Liberators, into maybe Battlecruisers, is really cool. And by the time the Zerg scouts it, it seems like they're not actually able to do anything to kill them. The Banshees are just too strong.
Yeah. Hyperflight Rotor's playing a huge factor in that. But what's going to be interesting is this attack. As funny as it is, it's not that bad to deal with the Hellions. I mean, the Banshee's obviously better, but the Hellions can actually deal with the Ravagers because they're low health pool. So as they get in here, splash damage is going to be nice because the top of the Queens focuses them down, so there'll be nothing to shoot the Banshees back. And between the Banshees and the Hellions, this should be a relatively easy hold. Now, the Command Center still doesn't get to finish, and if you can lift it, then actually this might get a cancel. It's kind of questionable with the Corsair Biles.
Cancel.
No cancel. But he doesn't cancel because he does send the Hellions to cross the map. And the focus fire over here is definitely worth more than a cancel on the Command Center. He kills 10 drones right off the bat. Denies mining out of Nerchio. More than 10 go down. 13, 14, 15, 17. That number's still rising. This ends up being pretty worth it. Now, losing the 3rd totally sucks for MarineLorD. There's no arguing against that. But losing this many drones for Nerchio, 20 in total, that sucks more.
Yeah. I really like Nerchio's idea, though. Like, he saw the Hellion and Banshee committal, so he's just like, okay, well, I'll just bring some queens, because you can do that on Larillac Crest with this creep spread. You know, we see it in those pushes versus Protoss all the time. But those queens being targeted by the Hellions was really cool. The fact that there's 3 Banshees in general would have been, would have dealt very well with them. But it was a nice defense. Really sucks he had to cancel that Command Center. It was so close to finishing. Has to restart that from scratch. Almost done now. But I'm not sure if Nerchio has scouted what it is. Like, he only saw the Banshees, and that's why he bring the Queens. That's a cool idea. But does he know that it's going to be a committal on air? He's still making Queens, so this might be his answer.
Well, as mentioned before, we saw this with Gumiho. I don't know how popular this is amongst foreigners yet. A lot of the cooler builds we see do tend to originate in Korea, and then they kind of trickle down. But MarineLorD is someone who's always been kind of ahead of his time, so this might be a build he's been using maybe regularly, question mark. Either way, I will say this about Nerchio. He's one of the best at adapting to situations on the go, and I think that's a big part of why he's such a good player. Calm under pressure and good reactions. Now, on the other side of the map, he does go once again for the Hellion dive in, but Nerchio's got the Roaches this time. He had everything across the map to attack the first time. 5 Banshees, though, is a lot of damage to worry about. The Queens are not so much of an issue if the Ravagers are removed from the equation. He does remove the Ravagers from the equation pretty damn quick.
Yeah. So I think what's really key here is that MarineLorD didn't just go up to 2 starports, but 3, and he's going up to 2 more.
I was going to pull the SCVs to deal with the Queens. This is hilarious because this will actually work.
I think he's actually got this defense. The problem is, of course, that Nerchio, I mean, he has round 1 or 2 still left over.
Yeah, he's got, like,
MarineLorD is actually losing all of his really important units.
Yeah, he has bullets in the chamber, so to speak. Nerchio does kill a lot of workers, though, so a bit of payback for that early game damage. Luckily, though, for what MarineLorD's doing, strange as it is, it's a lot more gas costly than it is mineral costly. So, losing out on some of this stuff is not so bad, as long as he keeps the SCVs alive to keep mining the refineries with afterwards.
Yeah. The committal on Banshees past just the initial ones was really going to highlight. Yeah, the burrow wasn't seen, I suppose. And that having those was really important. Now, he didn't commit to the Hyperflight Rotors because, of course, he went for so many starports. They're losing a lot of gas for it, and he's been attacked so relentlessly.
The Hyperflight Rotors wouldn't really benefit him in this situation right now anyways, because he's not looking for harass, he's still defending. So getting more units out is obviously the best case scenario. But Queens proven to be really goddamn good units, and not because they got damage, not because they shoot up, because they got transfuses.
Yeah, it's the fact that MarineLorD recognized the situation and didn't just automatically go into Hyperflight Rotors, which is what we usually see with this build. I thought was really cool.
GG.
But it ends up that Nerchio knew the response to it. Like, this is the first time we saw mass queens as the dedicated response, not just like, oh, I'm a little scared here, let me get some defensive queens, but actually like attacking, and that worked out really well.
Yeah, congratulations to Nerchio. They'll take the first game of the series, but that is but one build amongst the many that MarineLorD is certainly capable of pulling off and executing, so far from over, but damn, Nerchio, again, like his ability to adapt is so good.
That's right. Nerchio he first vetoed Dusk, and then he changed his mind and vetoed Orbital. That's right. So we're actually going into Dusk next.
Okay, let me get that map intro loaded here. Okay, cool. Got it. Join the lobby.
Yeah. So I guess with changing his mind on the Dusk to Orbital makes sense. The Dusk what really felt like anti-Protoss, and it could have been he also didn't want long games, like we were talking about earlier. But the anti-Orbital, like that's got to be for those Reapers. That's still win games even if you expect it. Ready?
Yeah. Dust Tower's coming up. Get this party started, and we'll see you guys here in just a moment. Alright, getting into game map number 2 in this best of 5. And a quick question comes out of chat, like, did Rifkin and Cyber watch IEM at all? And we've been very publicly stating, like, no, we missed a lot of it. We had to do 12 hours almost, or no, not 12, excuse me, like 9-something hours casting the first day, and then I was just straight up sick in bed for the rest. The only match that I got to see live, which was really disappointing for me, was actually Nerchio versus Polt. And I only watched that as a prelude into what I was hoping to see with Snoot versus Hydra, but I unfortunately was just way too sick to stay up through it, so I missed a lot of IEM. So if MarineLorD did builds like this at IEM, that's really freaking cool. And again, just maybe ahead of the game, MarineLorD has been one of the best foreign players for a little while now. There's actually a conversation I had with Funka and Lilbao at BlizzCon where we were actually specifically talking about how good MarineLorD had become. So that's cool to see. That's awesome if that's the case. But unfortunately, yeah, we missed a lot of those games, guys. So that being said, you're watching the TING Open, and this is the tournament that matters. Make sure to go to bttv.ting.com if you want to learn more about Ting. But spawning here on the top right side of the map, it's going to be the red Terran player, MarineLorD.
In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he is Nerchio.
That little laugh I did, by the way, ended up being so much worse because I started choking on some phlegm while I was doing it.
Yeah, I thought it really added an effect, you know? Like, it was pretty good.
I felt like a really gross bad guy with a laugh like that. like a villain to a bad kid's cartoon or something. At any rate, Nerchio, again, just credit goes to him on his response to that build. MarineLorD, I don't think, pulled it off too poorly. He got a lot of damage with the Hellions, yada, yada, yada. But I do wonder, like, had that same sort of situation arisen in different spawn locations, would that have still gone the same way? A lot of what-ifs with games that play out like that. However, at the end of the day, I think while I've got more faith in MarineLorD to pull off really cool builds than in, say, Nerchio, I've got more faith in Nerchio to respond to said builds.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just thinking about that it seems like the last series that we cast, Lily Canine, or no, 2 series ago. Oh my god, these series have been going down so quickly. Ling's actually getting in here, scouting, whatnot. They scout 2 gases, which is really nice for them, but like Lily Canine versus MarineLorD, the first map, Dusk Towers, it felt like Lily Canine kind of threw away an option to go for really powerful mech with a failed proxy. Last game, like, it was really back and forth with all the drone kills and worker kills that were going down, but it kind of felt like an opportunity for MarineLorD also to do something a little more powerful in those positions than that mass Aerie tried to go to. And it's just unfortunate now that the map is out of the pool. You know, the 2 base attacks with tanks on that position, that map, can look really, really powerful, and I wonder if he's regretting using it for that build in particular, or if we'll even see it again in these 5 maps. They vetoed Orbital and Detox. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, MarineLorD, actually, I'm not surprised. I think he's the one who vetoed Detox, right?
MarineLorD vetoed Detox, yes.
Yeah, as you say, Nerchio's actually had quite a bit of success on Detox, and MarineLorD played it once and said that it was not a map that he loved, so I'm not surprised that got vetoed.
So, very odd timing here. We have Wolf and Knight asking, why don't you see Bunny build into Air Mech? And I don't know if it's going to be Air Mech, because of course we have a Nidus Worm on the way, but we do have a Fusion Core and Liberators on the way, so hey, a Bunny build.
A big part of this build, and we call it the Bunny build because of course he's the one who really made it popular and strong first. A big part of why you don't see this build on most maps is because it does require some actual positioning through terrain. The back of the base on Dusk Towers actually doesn't provide a lot of area for you to put spore crawlers, so it works out better here than, say, on, like, I can't even think of the other maps off the top of my head, but it does work better here on maps like Dusk Towers, is the point. Now, as you said, it's a Nidus Worm, and unfortunately, Liberators are not good units to have versus a Nidus Worm. You know, I think, okay, you just send it over top of the Nidus Worm, Bob's your uncle. But with Queens coming out, they take down the Liberators pretty quickly. He's seen this. MarineLorD sees it clear as day, but he's still going across the map.
He's not focused at all. Now he really sees it.
Oh, I feel like this is game over, man.
I think so. If you had the range on the Liberators, then like maybe, but of course the range is going to be done for quite some time. If you had some type of wall with a SimCity where the Liberator and a tank could hide behind and the Queens couldn't reach, that also has ended Nidus Worms.
We've had people actually do things like you build engineering bays and supply depots around the Nidus Worm to lock it in so nothing can push out from it. And those are usually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, he's actually doing a pretty good job of pushing this back. If he loses minimal SCVs, he's got 2 Liberators to work with now. This actually isn't going to be the end of the game right now for MarineLorD, but he does take some pretty severe SCV losses. So Nerchio's still getting quite a bit out of this Nidus Worm. 27, 28, a lot of SCVs.
Nidus Worm's going to be destroyed. It would have been camped anyways by the Liberators. All the Queens are now down, but 29 SCVs killed. I think that is enough to try and macro out of this. Now, if Nerchio continues to try and press the issue, I could definitely see him starting to lose, just straight up, as, you know, 2 CCs, 2 mules at a time can bring you back, but...
Now, I was wondering why MarineLorD decides to really fight this one outright. I forgot, he had actually completed the Liberator range behind this, and Nerchio, having dedicated so much... He might be on a lair, but there's no Spire. There's no money for Ravagers. He actually doesn't have the capability to stop the Liberators. So the second these get onto those mineral lines, these mineral lines are going to get locked down. There's not going to be any more mining. It's not regular Liberators. It is, again, Liberator range. And what's coming out of this Nidus Worm is, like, not enough to end the game, I feel.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, if he had tried to macro out of it, he probably just wouldn't have. He would have no mining.
Yeah,
he would just be completely denied. So
100%.
Yeah, that is a great point.
So
now he does finally get units out here.
As long as Lily, sorry, not Lily. As long as MarineLorD actually has the capability to drop mules, even if he loses every SCV in defense, the Liberator, the possible Banshee, like he'll eventually clean this up. He cancels for a Banshee. I like this choice a lot more. I don't know if it'll finish in time. It's questionable, but MarineLorD in a much better place. Nerchio does clean up one of the Liberators, I guess. Some complacency may have cost him that, but
oh no, Queen, no!
Rip.
Splat.
Right.
He's, of course, Mike on the other side of the map where the SCVs have been pulled once again into the roaches. There's so little for either player.
The Starport dying, actually.
Going to be still tap out. Oh, God.
Yeah, if the Starport didn't die, he would have had the Banshee and would have won. But Nerchio, 2-0. Again, credits go to MarineLorD. But Nerchio does take the game. That feels like this is how it went with Mana, too, right? You're like, okay, Mana played cool. He took better fights. But like at the end of the day, it's the score point that goes to Nerchio. Same here with MarineLorD. Cool fights, good control, awesome tactics, but again, Nerchio's the one who wins the game.
Yeah. Just a little unlucky with that build, the second game. You know, the Liberator build versus a Nidus Worm, that's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
I am surprised he did as well as he did.
It's funny, though, because Nerchio, he vetoed Dusk Towers, I would imagine, initially, because he didn't want to deal with this. And it's almost like he had a thought process. Going, well, you know what? If I do this and he baits into it, like then I can actually go for a build that counters it straight up. And Nerchio is, again, this like maniacal genius who's smart enough to do something like that. Like, Nerchio is the Lex Luthor of StarCraft. But okay.
Compliment? You decide.
Yeah. Pre-on Terraces. Okay, I got it loaded. We can go when they're ready. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 currently underway here for the TING Open, spawning the bottom right side of Pre-on Terraces. We've got the red Terran player for Millennium. It's MarineLorD.
On the top left as the blue Zerg, he is Nerchio.
Now, of course, you could wonder, will Nerchio do something a little bit cheesy? I think he's probably anticipating MarineLorD doing something cheesy more than anything else. But again, it's a gold-based map, so all sorts of tactics get changed up with your natural base having so many minerals.
MarineLorD's going to go for a CC first, which we just don't see that often anymore. I don't know, but it's a cool tactic. It's certainly not what Nerchio would be, prepared for in most of his games. As he said, I think he would be preparing for more likely like a multiple Reaper opener, whether it was a reactor or multiple barracks is always up to the Terran. But now the CC is going to be able to get done no problem. Nerchio will not be scouting this to send Lings over, even though he has a pool.
What's kind of funny for me is Nerchio is the type of guy, though, to do, even against Terran, like early pool, to close out a series 3-0. Not to say that's something he always relies on, because he doesn't, but he's the type of guy to do it. So this is an extra bold move.
Yeah, the early pool, rather like the 14 and below pools, are always so risky against a Terran, Like, if they aren't doing anything, they aren't doing anything. But for like a pool first with gas, I think that is something that you can we see actually a lot. You kill the SCV and then you try and get a lift off, or maybe even like a cancel in the command center. But with a CC first, you actually don't hit that in time, even if he was going for it. But he's not, and of course he had no idea what time in the command center was. So MarineLorD, he's going to be a little careful. He's going to be a little cautious. Puts on a bunker just right off the bat. Kind of like a fake bunker, though. There's like one Marine in it. You go, buddy.
Yeah, safe than sorry, though, if you can get it. But unfortunately, the SCVs here are going to have to get pulled. We'll get to mine right away.
Yeah, he shouldn't go down. There's that micro. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So this isn't great for Nerchio to see, but oh well. He's got to live with it. We'll see what his follow-up's going to be, if he's going to throw that on his own third base and just try and out macro, or try and punish him for this opening greed. The problem with this is, of course, by the time you've scouted it and are prepared to go for some type of push or attack or whatever, that usually they're prepared. But we have combat shields coming out first, which is really cool. MarineLorD was throwing out some Marines just randomly, trying to catch his opponent off guard, and it worked once or twice.
Yeah, this might be like Thermal and some others do these like really early Marine pushes, where you just kind of come across the map early and you're like, surprise, you got like 12 Marines. But I mean, combat shields would certainly hint that that's the direction you want to go. As funny as it is, combat shields tend to be a much more aggressive tech choice than Stim, even though Stim makes you attack faster, move faster, and all this. Not sure he'll actually go for it, but it's kind of cool to see him go for combat shields first either way, because if it is Banelings, he'll take more Banelings to kill the Marines. If it's going to be a Roach bust, he'll have more health to soak the Roach hits. There's a lot of benefits to this.
So, with the starport coming down pretty quickly, it was one of these in-between builds. Not the fastest starport, not the slowest one either. And of course, it's on 2 base, so it's definitely not the slowest one. You don't have a ton of Marines, but you will have this much faster medevac timing they won't be expecting. It's a little odd to see, because of course he did get the combat shields first, so he will have drops that will not be able to stim, and that it looks weird, all right? two medevac drops with 16 Marines, and they don't stim as soon as they unload. That just never happens, but it would happen here if MarineLorD went for that immediate push. But he's actually not bothering to put a reactor on, so just getting the medevac as soon as possible, getting a tank too. So this feels, funnily enough, a lot more defensive, even though he is still going for a 2 base build. He's now slapped down 3 more barracks.
Yeah, this is I'm really curious to see how this plays out for him. I mean, it's strange. It's certainly strange, but I can see the merits. But unfortunately, like most things Terran-related, timing in which you hit is going to be pretty important. And the fact that this is going to be hit later means Nerchio is going to have a lot of roaches.
Yeah, a lot of roaches. This tank will be able to scout that, though, and it'll be able to scout where they are too. Are they defensive, just at home, chilling, or are they, pushing across the map, for instance? And then you have to be very careful about how you push out. And MarineLorD won't have to worry about it as much, because he's not just going to try and take a third base, which you try and intentionally be, pushing it over right now. He just has to worry about getting his own army up and ready to go. But it's tanks, they entirely depend on finding a good position. So if you're going to have Zerg with their, mass roach army headbutting a Terran trying to get their large army across the map, if they're caught in the middle, that mass roach army usually wins. You see it a lot on Larillac Crest. But if they actually find some type of good position, or the Zerg messes up and doesn't wait for, the 10 Ravagers or what have you, then certainly the tanks can do a lot of damage, and this push could actually win the game.
Yeah, the Ravagers are actually going to be really important. They'll force the tanks to get picked up, and that will, of course, delay a little bit of damage. But if this was Lings and Banelings, the funny thing is I don't think Nerchio would have enough units in the world to defend this. The Roaches and Ravagers really are the only option which he has to fight with. MarineLorD gets a couple of good shots with the tanks initially, but the Queen's actually adding a lot to the fight, soaking a lot of hits, and MarineLorD just runs out of juice really quick.
It's not abusive, like it didn't hit while Nerchio was trying to drone, unfortunately, as he drones right now, and it didn't get to any ledge to take on, so that is a 3-0.
That is a 3-0, and Nerchio will be the first person out of the group in first place, so congratulations to him. This is, it's very strange, is what it is, I suppose we'll say. To see this whole group go faster than any other group combined, especially when you've got the caliber of European players here, where I thought this would be like almost the second most hyped group in the entire tournament. But
yeah, I was really anticipating like long ace matches, super psyched and ready to go. I mean, they're all players that we love, but the games, while they've been fun, they've not exactly been stomps all over the place. They have overall been stomps with a 3-0 score every single time.
Well, actually, the way I've had it set up on the brackets as well is it's always been the person on top with 3 and the person on bottom with 0. So, if that's the case, Mana will 3-0 this series. But it is going to be the final match of the group coming up next, guys. So, we are going to hit you with some sponsored commercials. Someone actually made a good point earlier. These are less like ads and a lot more infomercials, because it really is just... They're not trying to sell you on TING as much as inform you so you can make your own decision on whether you want to try it out or not. Because for TING, they only want customers that they're going to be able to help. They've said this straight up in a lot of the times we've talked to them, in a lot of the times that they've been on the stream. We've had Jesse also comment on this, where if you are better off having your business be elsewhere, they are happy with you just being happy. They really want to just help people who, like, there's a lot of people who are paying too much for their phone bills. I am one of them, but unfortunately I don't have an option like TING in Canada to save me. So they really want to just help people where and when they can. Good people, TING. So, of course, they're the main sponsors of the event. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the TING Open so far. We're just going to talk about their rates one more time as we get into the finals of the group. So TING doesn't use plans, guys. They use rates, which means if you pay, or if you use less, you pay less, and of course if you use more, you pay more. But either way, overall, they cut costs in a lot of other areas. And the big point Jesse always asked me to try and rein home is that you can actually have your same smartphone experience where if you use your Wi-Fi a little smarter, you'll save data. With their phone plans being a bit cheaper, you'll make up for the data and like texting and phone calling and all these other sources. So make sure you check out the website bttv.ting.com. They've got a cost calculator, a savings calculator, I think it's called, so you can see where you'd save money, spend money, etc. But yeah, we'll go to commercial about their ad rates. So we'll see you soon.